Hi, this is Pam Smithgall. I'm the owner of South Shore Travel, and this is part one of our training on just the basics of how to become an independent contractor working in the travel agency world. This is just the beginning of so many things you'll want to learn, but I want to give you best practices as you start your own business as an independent contractor, and you would be booking things for us at South Shore Travel, but this will be your own business. And what you'll learn here is hopefully going to be very helpful to you. So I've made some notes. I will be looking at those so I won't forget. So first of all, I've been in business since the mid 90s, and my career started out as a music educator. I was a junior high band director and then taught elementary level music. So I did that for quite a while in this area south of Houston. So I got a bit burned out and decided to get into something else. And so that's my background. And a lot of people that have gotten into the travel industry started in maybe a different career and decided they really loved travel and decided this was where they wanted to head. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the past. Now, I, of course, was not in the travel industry way back in the 40s and the 50s and 60s. And from what I know, way back then, it was very tedious to try to help people plan travel. There was lots of letter writing and over the phone, and I guess they used telegraph and things like that. So thank goodness things are not so tedious and hard to arrange. And the people that traveled back then, those were pretty intrepid travelers because it was mostly by rail, by ship, and some aircraft, but it was so much more difficult than now. And it's just wonderful to think of the options we have nowadays for travel and the options we have nowadays as people in the travel industry to help people see this beautiful world. So some of the earliest computers and computer programs were used in, I believe probably in the 70s, 80s, to book airline tickets, because airline tickets, that was the focus of a lot of the early travel agencies. And at that time, that was a big part of travel agency businesses. There was a very close relationship between travel agencies and the airlines. That's not really the case now, but that's where they started using computers quite a bit because of the programming they could do to interact with the airline reservation program. So that's where that all started. And then in the early 90s, that's when I think it was Southwest Airlines was the first one that made it so that you could actually travel with a confirmation number, which of course we're all familiar with now. And that's when things really changed. And it was such that you could run a travel agency out of your home or in a more informal setting. Prior to that, airline tickets had to be printed on a certain type of paper. There was a certain kind of printer that did that. And that paper was worth a lot of money. Your system, your machine that printed on the paper had to be in a secure location. And so I think that's why people had to have their travel agencies had to be in a storefront. So there was a lot of expense to running a travel agency prior years when that was the focus. But so when you could then have the big change of airline tickets could be done as just a confirmation number, that really changed the game. So that's when I got into the business. Nowadays, the relationship between travel agencies is much more tied closely to cruise lines and tour companies and DMCs. We'll talk later about what a DMC is. So things are much different than they used to be. Of course, a lot of people, when the internet came out, at first, everybody was so fascinated by clicking and, oh, look what I can do. Yes, there's some things you can do online. There's a lot of things you can do, but people have discovered that they want the personal touch. They want to work with people who are truly experts, and that's where travel agencies, I mean, we are so busy. And I do have to laugh when people say, oh, I didn't know travel agencies were still around. I always say, well, if we weren't still around, then why are we so busy? So, you know, that's just kind of a funny thing. So important things that you need to have to be able to handle this career well. You've got to be detail oriented. You've got to be people oriented. You've got to have a knowledge of cultures. And I think it helps when you're fascinated by cultures and you're fascinated by the music and the art and the architecture of different areas of this amazing world. And the geography. Oh, the geography is so important. Whether it's what are the beaches like in these different Caribbean islands, or, you know, the weather, how the weather affects different things. Things like when are you going to see the Northern Lights and different things, and how does that all work? There's a lot to that. Some of the basics of politics, and you know, just what's the reality of different places. Technology is very important. You need to be able to use technology, whether it's a lot of the computer programs and things that we use the computer for. You need to be pretty good with all those kinds of things, or the phones. And you've got to have a lot of patience. You've got to be able to explain things. So you've got to have a good use of the English language. If you are fluent in some other languages, that's wonderful too. But having correct grammar is very important. I appreciate my wonderful English teachers I had back in high school. Maybe I didn't appreciate them back in high school, but I appreciate them now, because being able to write clearly is so important. And you'll find this, because when it's a business that thrives on details, being able to write those details is huge. So some other pieces of the puzzle for your success are going to be just, you know, the fascination with this beautiful world, I think, pays off. The ability to be able to market and explain your knowledge. Now, that's something we help you with. And to be able to connect with people about, you know, your knowledge, and to be able to encourage others to explore and to go beyond their backyards. A lot of people are fearful to explore because they maybe haven't heard the reality of, I mean, they've heard the bad. The news tells you about the bad. The news hardly ever tells you about the good. So some of the other pieces of the puzzle that are hugely important, and I did not have access to when I first got into the business: relationships, and having a great support system within what's called a host agency. A host agency is, like, for instance, my host agency, I am South Shore Travel to the world, okay? But to, let's name a company maybe you've heard of, say, the Marriott Hotels. Maybe you've heard of Princess Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, something like that. To those companies, I am Gifted Travel Network. Now, the reason for that is Gifted Travel Network has, at this point, I think around 300 travel advisors, such as myself. So, of course, we have a lot of buying power. We have a lot of clout. And our membership in Gifted Travel Network, because of our focus with them as a group on luxury travel and just very quality service for our clients, we are now part of a consortia that's called Virtuoso. Virtuoso it's a very prestigious consortia to be part of. And we'll learn more about that a little bit later, but it's really wonderful to be part of Virtuoso. And it's very, they are very exacting in how they want us to do things. So we'll be talking about some of those things. So you build relationships with your host agency, and you know, we learn a lot of things through, we have a forum on Facebook. We may be changing it to a different platform. I'm not sure. There are tourism boards. There are different companies that, for instance, one of the companies we use a lot is called Journeys. Okay, they help us do packages to places such as, let's say, Hawaii. Okay, and they have a forum for travel advisors that work with them, and there will be times when, maybe you go out to one of their forums and you have a little chat with somebody else that helps you with, what do you know about this hotel, or what kinds of activities have people really enjoyed while they've been on this island versus this island. So it's really great to have relationships, and also to have relationships with those hotel managers, with the different, the vice president for sales and different things in the different companies that we work with. So, and we do have preferred partners. So there are some companies we might not like working with so much because they aren't very tuned into us. But there are other companies that we are very close to, and they always take our calls. So when you go to a destination, we have what are called site inspections, where perhaps if I go to, let's say, Hawaii, I will make appointments with hotel managers and sales representatives for different hotels, and I will do a site inspection where I will go and see a hotel in detail and meet with, maybe they'll invite me for lunch to go meet with the sales manager. And that's a great way to see all the different kinds of hotels or hotel rooms. And especially if you have people that will be traveling soon to that hotel or are considering going there. And so site inspections are huge. We do those on ships sometimes. Sometimes we can get special permission to board a ship to get to see the different kinds of rooms. And there are different events, industry events, like for instance, the River Cruise Expo that was held last year in Budapest. That was really great because they brought all the different ships in so we could see them. That was great. So those are huge, hugely important. Another group of pieces of your puzzle that help your business, using what's called a CRM, Customer Relationship Management Tool. That's where you're going to input your client's information. And the one that we will be using for independent contractors that work with South Shore Travel, it's called Travel Joy. It's very secure. We put the information in there for the clients, and we'll talk more about how we actually use that tool. And it is just excellent. It makes you look like a true professional. Also, staying what we call top of mind, so that when people think of travel, they think of you. And, staying personal, you want to stay in touch with, like, the clients that just called me and they're talking about another anniversary trip. And of course, I remember their last couple of anniversary trips because I planned them. And it's just fun to be able to stay in touch with them and know what they like, know what they don't like, and you become their trusted consultant. So, one thing we like to do as travelers become experienced travelers, we want to move them kind of up the food chain of travel. Not that you're always trying to have them spend more money, but you want their experiences to get better and better because they probably don't want the same old thing. They get a little spoiled. And we try to help you. We work together with our independent contractors to help you do that in a way that it helps the client just have a better experience. And, maybe they do spend a little bit more money, or maybe they don't. Maybe it's just that they have a better experience because it's something a little bit different, or there's just something a little bit better about the place that they go, or, how it goes. We like to also, when we can, create something that's really over the top for clients, especially if it's a special birthday or some kind of celebration. I, of course, I founded this business, and I, from day one, have said, I'm a Christian, and that's going to be the values that my business is going to reflect. So everything I do is going to reflect that, and I always am careful about that because I don't ever want to take on clients that I can tell are just not going to be interested in the kinds of trips and the kind of values I have. So we also want to be sure that as working for some of our bookings, if there's somebody you just feel uncomfortable with, you are not forced to work with them. No, I've had lots of people I've turned away. And so, I want to be sure, we'll talk through that as well. But, you don't have to say yes to everybody. You really don't. Basic technology, those are huge things. I mean, you need to have a good computer. Now, I use all Mac. You can use Mac, you can use PC, doesn't matter. Good laptop. You need to have a VPN, virtual private network. And if you don't have that, I can talk you through that. That is so that if you're using Wi-Fi in a coffee shop or an airport, you switch that on and nobody's tracking you. You know that you are on your own network. You're not on somebody's Wi-Fi that is not secure. Okay, I think that's very important. Good monitors, because you're on the computer a lot in this business and you don't want it to be so that it's going to give you headaches. I've had problems with that. So I can help you with some of those purchases if that's something you need. But the bigger the better on monitors, if at all possible. And staying healthy with a decent chair, decent combination of chair and desk, so that you're not hurting your shoulder and neck. Those things are really important, and appropriate lighting. You just got to take care of yourself, because I've seen a lot of people suffer a lot of problems because they are on the computer a lot, they are sitting a lot, they don't take care of themselves, and this job can cause you some problems if you don't take care of yourself. And I want you to have a wonderful situation and be able to do this wonderful type of job long term. So marketing, we're going to talk a lot about that. First thing is, I recommend that we will kind of word a letter that you send out, whether it's an actual letter or an email, to your friends and your family saying, hey, I'm about to get into the travel industry and I want to just let you know a little bit about that, to be watching, because I'm going to be talking to you about that, and I'm going to have some really great options for you to book travel through me, and I'm going to be able to offer you some wonderful advantages. So using social media, I'm going to be talking to you about that, and don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of making a video like this, and I can talk to you about how to do that. You have to kind of get over the fact that, okay, it's me on the video, it's how I look, it's how I sound, it's just how it is. You have to kind of get over it. So don't be afraid of the computer, or I'm sorry, of the camera or the computer. So a lot of what you're going to learn through Gifted Travel Network and through South Shore Travel as part of Gifted Travel Network and Virtuoso, you're going to learn a lot about how to market, how to deal with, being on camera, being on social media, being out there, because you're going to be the voice for somebody who knows what they're talking about in the travel industry as you learn more and more. So I challenge you to watch this video a couple times, take some notes. We'll have like a little informal quiz. I'd love to hear from you what things are of interest, what things surprised you that we may have mentioned. And we'll be also sending some other videos that I have access to that are part of the GTN, what they call Travel MBA program. Some of the videos are a little bit outdated because they're from 2018, so they don't mention the pandemic, which, it is what it is. But there's some great information on those. And so I'm going to be sharing some of those with you, as well as some things from ASTA. I do recommend that you at some point join ASTA. That's the American Society of Travel Advisors. It's a great organization. You don't have to join it immediately, but it does have some good training programs. So I'm excited for you to join me. And this concludes our first basic training. And we'll be having more videos and more information. Talk to you later.